Hello everyone. So for this demonstration, we will be dealing with not so straightforward dataset. So we have here our poverty incidence dataset, and let's open it in Excel and observe the data points. We can see that our dataset contains some metadata here, which describes what the data is all about, and data points are not in the same hierarchy or granularity. We have here a regional level, national level, regional level, and provincial level. And also, we can also observe here that the 1991 doesn't have a provincial level for the incidence report. And as we scroll down, we can also see at the last part that there are some metadata involved also. So with this, let's try to clean this one using Tableau prep. So I'll open and load the file. You can click on the connections and connect to a text file since this is a CSV file, or you can simply drag the file to the Tableau prep. And here, as the file is loaded, Tableau prep considers the first row to be its field name or column name. And as we all know that the first row here doesn't really represent the field or column. What we can do now, instead of allow Tableau considering this one as a field name, we can select this generate field names automatically option, since our first line is not really the field names or header for our dataset. So let's click on this one. Tableau now will generate a arbitrary field name for our columns, which is represented now in F1 to F7. Then from that, let's create a clean step and start cleaning our data. As you observe here, the F5, 6, and 7 were rearranged. We can highlight them and drag them on the end part so that the data here will look the same as it is in our Excel. And there you have it. So let's observe the values, and for now I think we can rename first the column. So we will extract each of this one, so and remove the unnecessary data. This one for now I will call this province, considering there are region and national, no. However, I will consider this one as province only. Then this field will be 1991. This is 2006. This is 2009. And then this is 2012. And then 2015 for the last one. So we're looking at our data using the data grid view. We can also view it as a profile pane, or this one, the list view. But the most useful here to observe the value is the data grid one. Let's now start removing the unnecessary rows and column. But before that, let's rename this one. Remove unnecessary rows and columns, so that we document what we are doing. So from this one up to this one, these are just a metadata that describes our data set, and I think we can easily remove this one. So exclude them. Then next is on the bottom part, which we also have some metadata here, and we can select all of this one and exclude them. After that, let's observe the column. So here, if we see there was a generated column with just pure null values, so with this one we can also remove the field. Yeah. So there you have it. So these are the data that would be meaningful to us. We have removed the unnecessary rows and also remove some of the um, uh, null generated columns. So next, let's try to separate the region from the provincial data. With that, we need to perform a new clean step to just organize our processes. So this one, we will be separate provincial provincial from regional. And as you observe in our data, the provincial data has some spaces before the actual value. And we can make use of that to do the separation. So if we double click on this one, so let's click on this one, you can see they have spaces here. And if you double click one of these, or looking at this view, then double click, yeah, there you have. We can count on the spaces before the actual value. So we have here 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 spaces before the actual value. So what we can do is to split this field. So in Tableau Prep, we have what we call a split, which allows us to separate values in one column into two different columns. So to do that, let's click on the more options and apply the split values. Then we will be using custom split. Here, we need to put our separator. Usually we use split to separate, for example, names with surname coming first, comma, followed by the other names or the given name. We can also do split if you're talking about emails and we want to extract the first part of the email before its domain. So we can use the at symbol here. Since we are dealing with our data set and our data set contains these spaces before the actual value for the provincial data, so we can put the 4 spaces here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then after that, uh, which where does Tableau will look at? So we will select first. So it will check for the first characters if it is a space. Then if yes, we will split it into two different fields so that the provincial data will be put into a separate field than the regional data. So then click split. Then after that, this will we will have this as an output here. So as you observe, we split the data using the 4 spaces. And with that, all the data having the 4 spaces before the actual value will be split into a separate field. And those who don't will be on the another field. And here we can actually rename this one as province only. Let's click on the data grid and yeah, rename this field and also field name already exists. Okay, so since we we've been using this one here. Actually, we can remove on this one. And the result of the split uh, is the provincial level of data here, and the regional for this one. So from this point, we can try to fill up all the regional data, since the first district here up to 4 district represents the national capital region, and the Abra, Apayo, Benguet are all under Cordillera. So with this one, we can populate the blank fields by filling out the values. However, since we are dealing with Tableau prep, and if we try to change the null value with a specific value, all the null value data here will be updated, which we don't like, since not all null values here represents the same region from the province, no? And with that, we can we can't no or we cannot perform the um, filling out of values. Since Tableau Prep treats the data as a node, and it is just viewing it as a table, there's there is no fill down function like we have in Microsoft Power Query. Since Microsoft Power Query is using Tableau Prep as, or shall I say, use treating data as table, they have this feature wherein you can fill down by just dragging the field or the value from a specific row and then drag down, then it will fill up the lower or the lower parts, no? Or the drag part with the data from the row. Since Tableau Prep doesn't have this feature, and it will be complicated if we will be creating some scripts for this one, this will be somehow a dead end for us. So we can put here in our description that dead end process. So here we cannot do anything else, and with the limitation that we have now, we cannot process our data set. So how do we address this one? Since we all know that our our data is already in a provincial level, we can extract the provincial level here. So what we can do is to just consider all provincial data and just remove the remaining or the other regional and national level. So I'll add another clean step here, and let's just drag it some part here below, so we don't want to go here. Okay, just here. Yeah, so that it's like a linear approach. So I'll name this one as just so keep only the provincial data. So from here, what I will be doing is that I remove all the regional level of data. So let's take a look at our data set again, and all data without spaces in the province are all regional or national. So I just select on the specific columns that are not in the provincial level, of data. So let's select. Just hold command if you're using Mac and then click, or control if you're using Windows. So let's select all regional and national level data and remove them from our current data set. So just right click after selecting everything and exclude. Now we already have our only provincial data set. And as you observe, 1991 doesn't have any value. We can go to the field for 1991 and just remove also this field, since we don't really need to deal with dashes. Yeah. Next is that since our province data has a spaces here, what we can do is perform a trim. So here we can have trim spaces under the clean, which allows us to remove spaces before or after the string or the value itself. So in some cases, there's an error in coding. They put some spaces before or after the value itself. So to clean them and remove them, just apply trim spaces. And so the spaces will be removed. And now I think we can already perform our pivot in this one. So as we observe, we can, based on our tidy dataset guidelines, columns that should there are value this year, no, the value for these columns or the field is not really to be a field name or column. It should be a value for a row. So to do that, we just need to add another step, which is pivot. And then let's drag all the data here, all the years, and drag it to our pivot field. And now we will have a field for year and the poverty incidence. So let us rename this one. So pivot here. So the step here is to pivot the year columns in so that they become rows. And then let's rename this one. I'll call this one year. Then this one is poverty incidence. Then let's put the percentage, since we removed the percentage from the metadata, and to keep us reminded that the values present here are all in percentage format. And after that, actually, you can already, we can add another clean step as necessary here, or we can just save the file. So I think we can add another clean step here, and let's check what we can still do. So this one is already in a decimal data format. The year is already here, and province now. I think this is already good. So we can directly save this one. So we already performed the removal of dashes here. Keep province data, and we can add description also here so that we don't forget that we also remove dashes or the year 1991, since we don't have value for that. Then we can already perform an output here and save the file. So just rename the file here. You can just click CSV and name this one as poverty incidence by province, and you can just click the run flow to save that one. So with the limitation we have with Tableau Prep, we cannot somehow extract data from our regional level. So what we can do, we need to acknowledge that our tool or ETL tool has a limitation, and of course what we want is to perform or use everything we know to prepare or clean our data set. Since I think everyone is familiar with Excel, so we can open our Excel again and load our data set here. And then from here, all the things we cannot perform in Tableau, maybe we can use Excel to do it first for us before loading it in our Tableau. So to do that, let's save first our file into a new file name so that we will be able to retain the original data set that we have. So when you're working with your data cleaning, make sure that you have a backup of your original data set. So don't work with the data or don't work with the data. Don't apply your changes from your data set into the actual file. No? So you need to create a separate file so that if there are some problems, you can always or you always have the backup. So I'll save this one as a new data set. So poverty incidents pre-process. I just put pre-process here. Then click save. So what we have earlier in Tableau Prep, let's apply it here before we load it in the Tableau Prep. So earlier we deleted all the metadata here, which is can be easily done also using Excel. So we can just uh, delete this one. So we can delete all rows here. Okay. And then the rows also in the bottom part, we can also remove this one. Right click, delete, delete row. So we already removed the metadata. What we will be doing next is to extract the provincial from the regional. So with that, we can just select this column and copy, and then some here, right click and paste, and then you can just say uh, or we can insert a column here, and then just space special space formula keep no. So the yeah, you can select the insert copy cells here. So just select the insert copy cells, some here, insert copy cells. You cannot paste here because the copy. Okay, why it's aren't the same size? Okay, because you see. So let's just select all the data here, then copy, then just click anywhere, right click, insert copy cell, and I'll just shift to the right, and there you have it. So make sure if you're performing manipulation directly from your data set, uh, make sure to keep them uh, untouched as much as possible. I'm pertaining to the value itself, the data points itself. So as much as possible, we don't want to cause any inconsistency with our original data set. So make sure to be careful and aware on what you're doing. So next is what we can do here is that since we already separated this one, we can already type in here as regional, and then we can type in here is provincial, or just province and region to make it more um, simple. And all the regions here, I'll represent it by all. So since this is a national level, we can leave it for now here. What we will be dealing is to convert all data in the province field that represents the region into the all word, meaning it represents all the region. So let's put all here, and again all here, then all, next is all, then here all again. So this one we can do it actually manually since the dataset is not that big. However, in some cases or situation where your dataset is too large, this is not a good approach. So let's just replace it by all for now, and this one, and then this one, then last. So we already replaced every region value in our province field as all. We can also replace this one as all, since this part represents the whole Philippines, then it also represents the all provinces. Then here, since a national level, it represents all the regions, so we can, instead of Philippines, I'll just rename it by all. And then for every province, so we can just now drag to fill down, then it will represent all the province in that region. So I'll just drag this one. So here we can easily perform the fill down or drag down, since where Excel is very used to this kind of process. So let's just drag everything down here. So be careful not to this cause any inconsistency with our data. So let's drag everything down here, and then drag again here, then drag again here. And so I think this is already a good one. We can already save this one and load it to our Tableau prep. So file, save. Then let's go back to our Tableau prep and load the new data set that has been created. So this one. Here, since we already have a header, so we can just first line contains header, and I think that's good. And we can now add a clean step. So I'll drag this one, I think below here. Yeah. So I think we can already observe what we can do next, no? We can apply the pivot here. So click on this one, pivot, and then all the years again becomes column. So since it is easier to do using Tableau than Excel, so we can stop the processing at this point and go back to Tableau prep to perform the pivot. So I convert pivot year again, pivot years, and then it select all the year here, then drag here, then the generated field here, let's rename again. This will be year, then this will be the poverty incidence in percentage. There. And you can also rearrange later the column. So next what we can apply is to add a clean step. Then observe the values. Okay, as you can see, we were able to put some slash n here in the all. So let's clean the data, remove clean. So first we can remove the dashes and the slash ends, no? So we can just put it here. I'll remove the slash in here, just double click, then remove. So all slash n will be gone. And then let's exclude the dashes since based on our tidy dataset guidelines, null value, we should deal with null value. So for this one, we need to exclude so that we can do perform calculation later on. Then next, since this is string, as you can see, uh, Tableau considers the percentage as string since there was some dashes, so we can change the data type into decimal. And it's much better. And as you observe, okay, there's also slash n. We can also remove the slash n from the other values here. So let's remove slash n. Okay, I think that's it. So provincial data. Let's check on the data grid. First, second district. Okay. Next we can, since in our tidy dataset guidelines, we need to somehow um, have a data in a same level, so we can just add a clean step, retain provincial only, provincial here. So I'll just somehow drag this one, then I'll provincial level output, and this one retain provincial. So what we can do is to somehow hide all fields with, or hide by all the fields with all. So here first is provincial. Let's here the provincial with values of all, or this one region. Let's exclude them. I think that will do. So this will be all the provincial data. But what is the difference between the previous one? So the previous one, we only have the province plus the year and the poverty incidence. In this new cleaning step that we did, we have the province and the region where it belongs, no? So we can actually output this one, provincial level with region, provincial level with uh, regions, regional data. Yeah, there you have it. Now, since we have our provincial level and we also have the data for our regional level, let's try to somehow create an aggregation to check or to verify the values that we have for regional level. So if you observe the data set here, um, we have here a regional level for each year for the poverty incidence. And for example, we assume that the poverty incidence is just the average no, per region. It's just average of the provinces in that region. So we let's try to do it. So for the aggregation part, I'll add a new step here, then aggregate, then select which fields that you will perform the aggregation with. And here, I think we can use group by province and somehow year. So let's group by province and by year. Then let's aggregate the poverty incidence. So it will get all the poverty incidents per year for every region, and we'll use mm-hmm, uh, no, it's not province, it should be region. So let's aggregate by region, then poverty incidence, then let's do this by, it's not sum, let's get average. So we will have here like the average of the poverty incidence for each region uh, for each year. So we have an entry earlier. So let's uh, go back in this node first in this part before we perform aggregate. So if we check, you have, for example, here we have NCR, and you can say that all the NCR, the average of all the NCR regional level poverty incidence is from the average of all the province that it have no for each year. So that's our assumption. So let's just check if that is really true. So let's exclude the all part so that uh, I think we have exclude the all province all. So I think we need to exclude this also the all on this one. Mm-hmm. Let's remove the all here so that it will not be counted all. Actually, it should not be part now. So exclude the all here. So this is our provincial level poverty incidence, and here we just tried to create our own kind of regional level of poverty incidence by aggregating the um, poverty incidence of all province in that specific region. So get average, average, get average poverty incidence for each uh, provinces per region. Yeah. So there you have it. So for region and year. So I just drag this one down here. And since now we already created our own kind of um, version of poverty incidents per region, let's create another one here. So let's extract only the regional data here. So let's add a clean step, and here retain regional only. What we will do is to merge or perform a join from the regional data to our assumption regional poverty incidents and check whether they are equal. So this just like a checking, no, in values. So let's remove the all here, exclude, and then let's also, okay, actually just select the province with the all data here, and then uh, keep only. Yeah. So and then yeah, let's exclude this one. This is the Philippine level, so let's exclude this one. Yeah. So what we have here is just we extracted all the data with mm, regional poverty incidents here. So we exclude the provincial and the national level, which is the Philippines itself. No? So now let we can perform a join here. Let's perform a join, and yeah, Tableau will perform the join and will create uh, matching value. No, so let's match it by not year. No, let's change. So by region, let's match it by region in both sides. And now we can observe what's happening here. So we match all the regions here, and as you can see, so show only match value. You can also show other uh, values that are not matched. So for we are just concerned with the uh, region here, so we can maintain this one and click on the data here. And as you observe here, we have some we have the data that are joined together, and you observe that the poverty incidence here, it's not like from the poverty incidence here. So to know which which, no, we can just, you can see here, if we, so provincial incidence, poverty incidence, na from poverty incidence here. So we can just somehow the aggregate here, we can actually rename the field here, uh, poverty incidence, and then we put, or at the first part we can put AVG, so that we know this is the average and can be easily checked here. So the average doesn't count, or does not, compared to the poverty incidence that is in the actual data set, they have some discrepancy, as you can see here. In some points they might be close, but most of them are not. Yeah, as you can see here, no, they're not. For this is 7.1, this is 4.3, this is 11, this is 22. What we can think of here, no, so maybe uh what we did in aggregating the poverty incidence from each province, or aggregating the provincial poverty incidence into regional level by using average is not correct, no? Or there's a specific formula wherein they will they would compute, no, for the proper value of the poverty incidence per region. So what we did here, just we just check, no, if we would get the same, no, output. Yeah. So I think that's all for now, and we can what I can add here. Okay, what we can add here is to perform a um union, no, from every data set. Since we have a provincial level, national level, and regional level, what we can do is to create somehow, if you want to retain the values of um, all the levels of hierarchy in our data set, because if we build this one in a Tableau desktop, we can put filters. So the filters, for example, this is your this will be your, for example, you have the graph or the chart, and if you want to filter only the provincial level, the national level, or the regional level, we can do it, no, as long as in our data set there's a field that will make us do it, no? So with that, let's perform a merge, or what we call a union of our data set. So I'll add another clean step here, and then I'll just make the national level retained. No, so I'll just click on all this one. This is the national, and keep only. So this clean step here, so retain national, and so we have here national, regional, and provincial, and these three can be joined. So I'll join this one. Ay, union pala. We can union this one. And then I'll move the union below para hindi magulo sa nodes. I'll just also move the union here. Then I'll highlight this one. Move it back there. Ayan. So let's create a union, and then this one also. Provincial, regional, and I want to do a union also. Yeah, there you have it. So the join here, actually you can save this one if you need. So compare uh, derive regional value versus dataset regional value. Ayan. Parang ganun lang ginawa natin. Then sa union, all levels, sabi natin, here. Ayan. And then, tama ba? We perform union, wait. This is not, so I should have union here. Why it created a different, I think they can union. Okay. Nagsa-separate siya, no? Sa, actually, the regional and the national add pala. So add. Yeah, there you have it. So this is the all levels. And here, if we drag on the data, since we do a union, you see here the table names. So the table names represent where they came they came from now. Yeah. So let's show. And so we have process. Actually, since everything went came from the present, so this is CSV2. Ayan. And then CSV1, 2. So the one, if you observe, this is all the national. So you can actually rename this one as national. Then the 2 actually is the regional. If you observe the values sa province ba, all lahat sila. So meaning sila yung national. And yung provincial, ito, yan yung mga province sila na. Ayan. And instead of uh, table names, we can somehow call this one as level na lang. Pero i-rename, let's rename it first, no? So yung may dash 1, we all know that dash 1 represents the national. So let's go back in this profile pane, and then itong may dash 1 is rename ko ng national. And then this one, yung next na may konti, no? Ito yung actually regional. Ayan, yung may 2, no? Regional yan. And then this last is yung provincial. Provincial. And then we can rename the table here instead na table is level. Ayan. Then we can output actually this node. Output, and we can call this all levels. Poverty incidents. So we have some warning here. You can just fix it now because maybe the file, output file are the same. So provincial level, provincial with regions. Then just select CSV. Then this one is all level. Then CSV. Then yeah. So here you have the level, and if you actually use Tableau desktop to show yung visualization natin, you can see there na you can perform interaction kasi in the Tableau desktop, and with actually not only in Tableau desktop, with other visualization tools also. And with that, with this kind of attribute, you will be able to create a filter for your audience to select which data they want your visualization to show. Ayan. And I think that's all for this demo. I hope you learned something, and yeah, thank you for watching.